Welcome back, Purrfect Peeps, to Purrfect.Dev. Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about 100 Days of Cloud with Antonio Lo Fiego. Hello, Antonio. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
When we talk about 100 Days of Cloud with an L, I think a lot of people get very curious what inspired it. Was it 100 Days of Code, and how did that transpire?
Yes, absolutely. This entire idea behind the 100 Days of Cloud challenge was a take onto the 100 Days of Code challenge, in which what we are striving to do is just showcasing how we can learn step by step every day for 100 days in a row, and step by step learning a little bit more about cloud technologies, cloud providers, and bulking up our technical expertise in the cloud space. This really started in May of 2020. This was the period when Andrew Brown, which is one of the original founding members of the 100 Days of Cloud community, was preparing certification courses for Free CodeCamp, and along with the Free CodeCamp certification, the Free CodeCamp community started a AWS certified challenge. And while we felt that AWS certified is definitely like a good trend to be behind, like I myself am like AWS certified and similar, but we felt like cloud technologies were not only related to AWS, so we wanted to expand upon the other cloud providers and really just increase the reach of people wanting to get into cloud technologies overall. So we cover like everything from Azure, AWS, GCP, HashiCorp, then we have other like the Cloud Native Foundation, Oracle. There's really a lot of people coming from a very lot of different backgrounds, and we are trying to learn cloud technologies all together.
That's very cool. I was going to bring up real quick since we were talking about it. So this is kind of Andrew's courses out on Free CodeCamp, and he's got Free Core. You guys have heard of that, I'm sure, right? He's got the kind of different areas that you talked about with AWS and Azure, and I didn't even know Oracle had this cloud certification, which I should, because they're massive, right? So it's pretty cool that these are laid out. And of course, we all love Free CodeCamp because it was one of the biggest free ways to continue learning or start learning on your journey. So it's really exciting to see that you guys have started over there. When I look at kind of your site, it looks like to me like the first thing that pops out kind of above the fold here is you're really looking to drive that community side of this home and get people in that community into your Discord server. Is that kind of the beginning for someone that wants to get into 100 Days of Cloud, or is there like a Twitter, or like how does that start for a person?
I would definitely say that the key entry point would be the Discord server, primarily because of the fact that there is a lot of support from already active members of the community. So once you join the Discord, you can join different channels that are dependent on like the type of certification you're preparing for, like the type of cloud provider you're preparing for. So you can look at every type of resources that are available from members of the community or from our own GitHub repositories, where we come up with some smaller project ideas that you can get started with and similar. Also, definitely Twitter is a big part of it. We always encourage people to share their progress on Twitter. We have a 100 Days of Cloud Twitter account. There is a 100 Days of Cloud bot that automatically retweets your stuff if you hashtag 100 Days of Cloud. So definitely Twitter is a big part of it. And none is really required on its own. Like what we really care about is providing a space for people to get resources or get help into cloud topics. But definitely those are the biggest driver of our community, like the places where most people gather and share opinions, thoughts, and resources.
Yeah, you just said something that keeps coming up on our podcast recently. We keep talking about community, and Discord, especially for the developer community, has just exploded, and it's a huge resource for people. And Twitter too. I mean, the dev community on Twitter is great as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Twitter community is really important.
I believe it's actually super true. And the thing about Discord is that it's very frictionless compared to like other alternative, like if let's say Slack. Like Slack is definitely more geared towards a professional environment, and there are definitely more interactions with like tools. Like I don't know if you want to run your Datadog stuff, or you want to get your like all their GitHub pull request notification, whatever you want. Slack has native integrations with those tools, while in Discord there is definitely a more geared towards like the gamer community, but then it branched out to actually just build communities overall.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely the community aspect of it is super important, because a lot of the people that are in our server either come from little experience or no tech experience. So they are career changers or like potential career changers that are trying to get into the cloud space from other like backgrounds. And the fact that there are so many people that might share similar backgrounds or at least similar experiences is a part of what drives people to get together, share with other people, and really encourage each other.
That's awesome.
Do you find that people that are going through 100 days of cloud, that they're also really active in the Discord as they're learning to like help others kind of continue that journey, or like they're going on it together? And what does that look like if I were to start like a week later than like Brittney starts? Is that a different journey, or can you kind of tag along as you go through that?
So this is interesting because there are some like suggested paths. So like, for example, if you're completely new to cloud, you may want to start maybe one of the foundational certifications. Then we don't really encourage you to take certifications because they can be expensive and similar, but definitely we encourage you to go through the knowledge that those certification test you upon, just to get knowledgeable about the topics. For people that really the journey is built on their own, like it depends, because there are some people, as I mentioned, that they never never had a job in tech or never had experiences in tech. So they maybe want to start from like early stages of like learning what cloud technologies are, what type of technologies are available, like the differences between like on premises versus cloud and similar, versus there are some people that maybe are seasoned developers, but they never really worked extensively on cloud because they always worked with on-premises technologies, that want to learn or like experience more of the cloud. So they definitely will start at a different point. The 100 days is more of a number, less of like a day one you have to do this, day two you have to do that. It's more of like just push yourself to do it consistently over time.
Okay, so you don't have like a time limit?
We do actually. There are a few things that we are working on that will be included on the Discord, so that the experience is a little bit more like integrated, where you can actually tag when you have worked on something, where you actually have to say, okay, today I worked on I worked on CloudFormation S3, and I deployed a static website using CloudFormation S3 on AWS. Then we actually save your progress. We know when you tagged the last time. We know when we know the streak you're currently on, and we actually want to showcase this either in the community itself, like on a daily basis. Oh, today these are the people that joined. Today are the people that started that posted their progress and similar, and also on the website, 100 Days of Cloud website, where you can see community highlights of people that are on like very high streaks, or people that have that made very interesting posts for the day or something.
Do you have a way of filtering out those posts that aren't? I know, like you can just tag 100 Days of Code and it can get picked up by the bot. So do you have a way of filtering those out? And
currently there is not a like there is not like a very clever way of filtering it out. I guess that we have access to the bot itself, and then we can kind of manually pluck out the things that are just there for like cloud chasing or something. Cloud with a T in this case. And but otherwise we really believe in the fact like that it's a community that is very driven, because it's a mostly of professional or want to be professionals, and this is very public as well. So if you want to actually enter the cloud space and similar, what our goal is really to give you, if anything, like a place to showcase how you learned, what you've learned, and then this can be potentially shared with like employers or people that are anyways interested in like working with you.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're keeping track of that. I like that.
Yeah, so when you talk about that bot running and stuff like that, the results are using like a hook back into Discord to then put those results each day or something like that?
Yes, so this is actually one of the larger projects that we have been going through recently. Definitely, these are still, like, this is actually the first time we are publicizing this because these are going to be deployed soon on the Discord in the coming weeks. So it's a very fresh piece of news. And these are, definitely, we have a bot that we wrote that is actually is hooking into AWS Lambda, DynamoDB, and a bunch of other AWS services. It reacts on command. So whenever you want to actually do something, you can type, in our case, you can type $log_day, and you can type a message, and then it will log with your username and the date and the time. It will tag it, and we can keep track of it in DynamoDB. You can tag it more than one day because you can only have one message per day, because otherwise one person can just go there like do 100 days in one time because you just spam the same code. So we have some preventative measure for you to prevent you from doing it multiple times. But all of this is like a custom built bot, which is actually very fun to build because the Discord, the package for JavaScript and TypeScript is very nice.
Yeah, I've heard the Discord API is pretty cool to work with. And they just upgraded it recently too, I think.
Yeah, it's extremely fun to play with. It really took no time to come up with like a proof of concept that then we ended up like improving upon and developing more. And we're really excited to actually deploy it in a few weeks.
That's cool. I know I did a little tutorial on slap someone with Slack message. So it was like /slap, and then like you put in a little fun message. And I've had so many requests for that to go onto our Discord server. So this kind of has me all reinvigorated. Like we should probably do that for one of our tutorials and get that into Discord as one of our bots.
With what time?
Brittney's gonna finish her site, or when you hear this, it'll be done, and then she'll do it.
There is definitely a different, like I've done some work on the Slack bots as well in my job because I wanted to automate a couple of things on Slack, and it's definitely a little bit more clunky compared to Discord, but I guess that's the Slack environment. It's a little bit more, there is a tiny bit more friction overall.
Yeah, they're both very doable. It's just you have to, there's certain things you have to break down. So I'm kind of curious, like I haven't done one of these. Brittney, have you ever done like 100 days of something?
I have. I've done 100 days of code before,
That's what I was thinking. I thought I saw you post some things on it.
Yeah.
So for me going into it, I'm like super stressed already when I hear 100 days of anything. Like I can't commit to anything for 100 days, right? So can you just talk through like what it is like to get started, and if you miss a day, does it like unfold to many days and like I get stressed, or how does that community help you get through those 100 days and just make it enjoyable and a learning experience that's very golden, like good?
I definitely like the fact that a lot of people do share their progress on Twitter helps because there is like definitely a higher reach, and a lot of people are also interested in what you're writing about, and like so they can comment easily. You can get like automatically the like confidence boost when you get a Twitter post. On the app, like on the Discord server, there is definitely more of less of for the time being, less of a focus on tracking the progress, while more on like the support on certain topic. So let's say that you're working on a particular service in like Azure. You can actually hop on the Azure channel and say, hey guys, I'm having this problem with this specific like error message that I'm getting from this service. Do you have any idea or similar? So it's more related to support and like mutual support than just to track the progress that you make. The tracking progress is gonna be more of a part of it when the bot gets deployed, because then it gets very seamless to do it, and people can start tracking, and it doesn't really matter if you skip a day. There is no really like you're not like get banished or
you
don't
get fall back to zero.
You don't fall back to zero. No. We there was like talks about like would you wanna reset if you jump. No, it's really again 100 days of Cloud is 100 days of something, just to give you an idea that it's a commitment to do something for a good period of time, more than like signing a legal contract that says I have to do this every single day.
And I think when you make these commitments that you have to give a little bit of grace, and you have to say you're making a commitment to do something, but that doesn't mean that you're stuck in this time period. And if you miss a day, we're not going to forgive you. It's nice to have that leeway, just a little bit of saying, like, if you need a day off, take that day and then come back and start your progress where you're learning, and don't start over. Just keep going.
And absolutely, I feel like you can't be a supportive community if you are not accepting of the fact that life happens, and like a lot of things are in the middle of it. So one of our very key goals in like our rules, like community rules, are really about being supportive, understanding, and not being in any way, shape, or form like demeaning towards other progress, because the progress is different for every people. Like for every person has a different like understanding of progress and a different definition of progress. My progress can be I get like 3 certifications in 100 days. Your progress can be I finally understand how to deploy a server and like manage the entire thing. That's progress anyways. We are a community that helps you do that no matter what you're trying to achieve, and the goal is like uplift everyone instead of like keeping someone down.
It can be completely different for everyone. Yeah. And it's like building a habit. All of these 100 days of whatever go back to that, like forming that good habit. So just like there's like a 21-day build a habit in 21 days or something. So I think it all kind of stems from that, where if you do something for a certain amount of time every day, you'll just build those healthy habits and help yourself.
Exactly. And I feel like the little steps every day are the things that then motivates you, because knowing that every day is just a little step instead of being like a big milestone that you have to reach every single day is something that helps you more on your journey to be like more self-drive and knowing that you're making progress, because you can actually track that progress, because you can see your previous like 100 tweets where you every single day you shared what you were working on. So there is progress that it's public, like other people can be inspired by you can inspire other people and similar, but then there is also the progress that you can see for yourself and say, hey, I did that. That's pretty cool.
So I'm like hashing it through in my head. I've somewhat been a self-learner after college, because I didn't learn anything I do now at college. And I'm sitting here going, okay, like I've been asked to get like my AWS solution architect certification, professional certification, and that it's hard. Like it's really hard. And I'm kind of curious to what level or maybe what tracks really fit well for this. Is this geared more towards a development certification track, or is it, any certification, it's just a group of people working through that together?
It's definitely more of the latter. We definitely have a lot of channels that are dedicated to each certification. People are free to join them or like leave them, mute them, or similar. Like we have a lot of requests sometimes when there is someone that wants to start, for example, the machine learning specialty on AWS. Like maybe not a lot of people have it, but the fact is that there's definitely some people that are working through it and they're just not sharing it because there is not a space to start sharing it.
Sure.
And as soon as there is a space, people will actually start being more interested in joining and start talking about it. So we don't really focus on one track over the other. We have in the community we have hundreds of people with all kinds of certifications and from every cloud provider. So if you have like a very specific question about maybe a certification or a service, it's most likely that you're going to be finding someone that is able to help you out or answer the question that you might have.
Cool. So I'm just like thinking through how some of this might work. So a lot of times we talk about the big three, or maybe there is actually four. I always talk AWS, Azure, GCP, and it sounds like Oracle's bigger than I thought it was. So I'll give them more credit these days. When we start to look at those though, and you're talking like machine learning and different things like that, when you're on your Discord server, it appears to me, and I've just like glanced through it, there's different sections in there for specific certs. Can you talk a little bit about like why certain certs have an entire channel dedicated versus maybe there's other ones that are loosely defined, maybe like cloud engineer for GCP or something like that? Can you just talk through like the breakdowns there?
Yeah, definitely. So, for example, the GCP certifications, they are usually there are a little bit less people in our server. Like in our server, based on like seeing the activity on various channels, we know that we are a very AWS heavy community and Azure heavy community. So those are the main two big player in terms of people that want to get into cloud. They mainly want to get into cloud by doing AWS or Azure. And then we are sometimes we are basically separating whether a channel is about AWS in general, where you're doing just questions about AWS as a person that is not preparing for a certification, but I'm learning the services overall, versus the certification specific channels where you're actually preparing towards a certification. There is a very defined learning guide. There is a very specific study guide, and then you want to actually have more questions that are oriented on on the certification I'm working towards understanding where would be question would be the best question, or what would be the best answer to this type of question and similar. So we are trying to separate them because we don't want just one major channel for AWS where everyone is talking about everything under the sun under AWS and similar. So that's the logic behind the separation. The fact that there are some channels that may be more generic and that might be GCP, for example, but I think that GCP has one that is specifically called the Cloud Engineer certification. But there are a little bit less specialized because they might be less people that are effectively interested in going for that certification. So instead of having this channel for two people, we have a grouping of a channel that is a little bit more about certification for GCP. But in general, GCP, we have a lot of people that still try to go for GCP certifications. So those are more defined.
And for those of us that aren't in cloud, that's Google Cloud provider?
Google Cloud Platform,
Platform.
Oh yeah, my Google. Talking about Google, my Google Home just went off. So
That's great.
It's listening.
It's listening. It's recording this podcast as well.
Not to go too far down a rabbit hole, but I just was reading that Google has released more of their privacy on what they're collecting in the browser and audio devices. So if I find that link again, it's probably in my history somewhere. I'll share that out. It was pretty interesting read. So we do a lot of kind of moving people to the cloud at OST, and we're setting people's architecture up for this. And it really feels like during the coronavirus period, this specialty field, or kind of this new emerging field, which it's been around quite a long time now. I think it goes even as far back as S3 was released in 06, maybe something like that. So it's starting to become definitely more mainstream the more people we talk with. There's concerns with containerization, though, because of trying to stay cloud agnostic. You talk a little bit about maybe what you've seen on that road, and kind of, are people headed towards serverless more first, or containers, and what that journey looks like?
So in my experience, I've seen that the logic of being cloud agnostic is nice in terms of tooling, because if you want to use tools, you want tools that work on any cloud that you actually have. Like, for example, say if Datadog only worked on AWS, probably wouldn't be as big as Datadog currently is, because Datadog offers like a lot of like benefits that are not only AWS users find useful. And in terms of actually having like multi-cloud, I don't know how many people are actually, and there is this like large conversation, and there are people like Corey Quinn, for example, who might be very, very vocal about the fact that like multi-cloud is a whole topic that you may want to talk about for better or for worse. But my opinion, like, for example, in our server, in like people that are learning stuff, we do see a lot of interest in both the like container side of things, like with people want to learn Docker along their cloud certification, or people want to learn Kubernetes and then they want to go to do like GCP work because Kubernetes is better for Google because Google made it, basically. So while there is like this also other push for serverless, and a lot of people are super interested in like learning more about serverless, where you actually have to learn more about software engineer, pure software engineering, and then leave the whole configuration part to the cloud provider that you decide to go on. And in our case, it's not, I wouldn't say it's evenly split, but it's almost evenly split. Like, a lot of people are interested in both sides because there is still not like a leading the decision maker. Like, there is not a leading pick for now whether to go Kubernetes or fully serverless, because the serverless might be a little bit newer as a concept, while Kubernetes is still like going bigger and bigger and bigger, even though everyone is just practicing Kubernetes. No one knows Kubernetes yet.
This is somewhat off topic, but what's the deal with Docker these days? Do you have, maybe you don't have answers on this, but I feel like no one's doing Docker anymore. They're just using Docker definition files now.
Yeah, for what is like, I'm not like I'm not an expert in the field at all. Like, I'm still myself into the process of learning a lot of this. For what I can remember, is just that Kubernetes dropped Docker as their container runtime. So now Docker itself is just like an additional set of utilities on top of the logic of like Linux containers. So Docker is less prevalent, like it might be less prevalent than it was before, when Kubernetes was using Docker as their effective container runtime. So that's the new change that has been happening. Like, this was back, I think, in like September or October when they dropped it. And recently Docker got another round of funding for more things. Like, this was like maybe a couple of days ago, they got a very new large round of funding. So that is from the point of view of someone that is not an expert on this, that's what I see. It's what is changing. I still think that Docker is useful in a lot of things. Like, there is like a usefulness to Docker and learning Docker, because it's like it's a very fun tool. Like, myself, I use it a lot for the like my own deployments of like, maybe especially if I have to do small, like people like the like my Discord bot, for example. It's like a Docker is on a Docker container, so it works very well for the point of view for me. So I want to learn more about it, but definitely it's a topic that I'm not like the most knowledgeable about yet. I would love to be more knowledgeable, and I hope to be more knowledgeable in the future.
No, that's fair. I've just heard a lot of rumblings and kind of read some things, so it's interesting. Yeah, sorry to kind of put you in a corner there a little bit.
No.
When I kind of start to think about this, I rewind my brain about 5 years, maybe a little longer in my head. when people started really moving towards the cloud and things like that. But I kind of reset myself to I'm a front end developer, even though I was writing SAP and everything else at that time. And like now I want to get into this cloud game. If you were to give someone that advice today in 2021, where do I get started with that? Like, do I jump on 100 days of cloud and just pick something, or like how do you find your way kind of on this cloud journey?
So what I would say that a good way to start in the cloud now is it depends on where you are in your like software journey overall, like in your tech experience. Like if you are already like if let's say that you're a front end developer, as you mentioned, and you want to start learning more about cloud services and similar, I would say that a good starting point, one is like tech Twitter, because it's like there definitely there is a lot of content that is shared on tech Twitter related to cloud technologies and overall getting started with cloud. 100 Days of Cloud definitely can help you like set yourself in a kind of a mood in like where you actually want to commit and participate in a larger community that is interesting in learning more. And for example, where I would start would be probably GCP Firebase or like AWS Amplify. Those would be my two picks if you're, for example, a front-end developer. That's where you are a front-end developer. That's the main thing that you have to think about. And then the back-end is handled for you by the providers.
Yeah, I really like that, especially the AWS Amplify example, because even though I love Firebase, so nothing there, but I think it teaches you a lot of things in the AWS space. So, once you crack under the hood of Amplify, even though you ran some command line things and it did a bunch of stuff, now all of a sudden, like, you have to know what Dynamo is, you have to know what AppSync is, you have to know what S3s are. So it's a very easy introduction to get you started, and kind of it allows you like just to creep into the cloud and start to run, understand those parts, and then like get into your CI/CD builds and DevOps and all that fun stuff. So I totally agree. Like that's a perfect place to start.
And I feel like that's also very good place to start there, because as you mentioned, when you use a tool that basically creates stuff for you, if anything, you see that it's easy enough to get started. But then the like as we mentioned before, how do you get engaged or you keep engaged when you see that there are things that work and when you see that it's kind of easy to get them working? Then you start getting into your own mindset of like, hey, now let's try to not use Amplify and actually build it myself. Yeah. Like, let's not use
pick up a CDK or something.
Yeah, exactly. And those are things that I feel like very engaging when you start with something that is easy to understand to begin with. And Amplify is perfect for that, and like Firebase is perfect for that, because it's like a batteries included set of tools, and then up there is your imagination.
Yeah, I love that example. Very cool. When we talk about kind of 100 days of cloud, I know you guys are early in the journey. What do you see for 100 days of cloud 6 months from now, a year from now? What does the community look like moving forward? Can you just kind of give us like a rough roadmap?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned before, we are currently working on the release of this larger project, that includes this bot that will actually start doing a lot of like utility things for us, like tracking progress or taking care of actually seeing which part of the community is there, because they want to be a part of like people learning cloud versus who wants to actually commit towards the 100 days of cloud journey itself. One other project that we are working on is related to our website. We want to transform it more than a like informative website like it's currently, to more into an application where you can actually work, like you can actually share your own profiles with for example, employers, or you can share it with other social media, when you can actually build your profile and showcase what you have built throughout your journey during the 100 Days of Cloud Challenge. Another thing that we've been very, very interested in working with, but unfortunately, because all of us are volunteers, like we're not, like we don't get like any payment from anyone in the community. We don't have like a donation service or similar. We don't have anything related to that. It's integrating more of the experience with the Discord and the website with Twitter, LinkedIn, and just make it so that when you are participating in the 100 Days of Cloud, you actually have a platform where all of your cloud learning and showcasing all of your cloud learning, even outside of 100 Days of Cloud itself. So maybe let's say that you use a cloud guru, or you use a cloud academy, you use any of the services, you can still showcase that you are on a journey towards cloud technology and learning towards cloud technologies, and then potentially give back to the community. The nice thing about all of these projects is that we are fully open sourcing these. So if we are building a bot, it's completely open source. So people can start adding things to it. If they feel like it's useful, they can participate in learning themselves, because all of these bots and websites and similar are deployed on AWS or Azure or similar, so people can actually get their hands on working on some projects in the cloud directly by giving back to the community and making the community a little bit more stronger with some tooling.
Nice.
Yeah, how do you see that kind of like? I love the fact that your community is on Discord. I think it's a wonderful place to interact. But how do you see when, like, I'm trying to build up my portfolio or my profile, which when I talk to younger devs, I'm always like, get your GitHub page, like repo, like get that thing straight, and like that's your showcase. How do you see being part of 100 Days of Cloud? Is there a spot today that you can place that profile? Because I know Discord's only going to be for the community, where if you want to show it off in like a job interview or something, you want that public facing. Is that part of that site update that you're talking about?
Yes, it actually is. One thing about the fact of we want to turn this from a website to an application that lives on the web is the fact that this profile is actually public. You can choose what you can show. You can either show every single day that you show, like the message every single day. You can show, like, we actually have a template on GitHub that you can fork, and it has like 100 days slots, and each day there is a specific post that you can fill out on what you learned, where can we see what you've learned, and similar. And some people actually went through the entire journey and filled out the entire 100 Days of Cloud post with like basically blog posts for every single day, and they're completely on their GitHub. These people, like some of them started jobs as like cloud engineers. Some people started software engineers using cloud technology. So like it really helped a lot of people to get this, because it's on their GitHub. It's like hundreds of commits of like very, very like blog post length commits of showing what they've learned or what they worked on. So definitely there is a component. Oops, my camera just bounced a little bit. There is definitely a component of sharing it, and with the part of the application that is like the part of the website is going to be public facing. So you can choose definitely in terms of like privacy features, like what to show. But you can have like a profile that completely shows what like your contributions to the community, or how many days you've been active, how many days of the 100 Days of Cloud you are, which journey you're on, because we have people that actually been to multiple 100 Days of Cloud journeys. For example, there is one of our community member, Ivan Chong, who is based in Hong Kong, and he's actually currently, I believe, on his like third 100 Days of Cloud journey.
Wow.
So it's like it's pretty crazy. Like some people are extremely dedicated, and so it's very, very nice for us to see when people are like extremely engaged and working through that. But definitely there is the opportunity to showcase it on the website, and that's definitely part of the roadmap to getting this off the ground. And that's why we want to make it so that you can integrate it with other social media presence, so that it's easier for other people to find it.
I love that you provide that repo template for them too. That's really nice that they get that out of the gate. It's awesome.
That's amazing. I think this is going to be incredible. I'm happy to talk to you today, so that we can talk to you again like a year from now or 6 months from now and see like where this thing is at, because I only see it growing. I think Clout is taking off like crazy. And in the very like bottom of our list is to become one of these kind of training tutorial places as well on CodeCamp, but that can spin up these instances on the cloud so you can walk through the instruction-based tools as well, and our videos and stuff. So it's really cool. Hopefully we can tie that together with what you guys have working on in the future.
Absolutely. We are always looking for new ways for our community members to have resources available for them to get into cloud technologies and learn more about cloud technologies. So we have a lot of people in that are currently working for like other companies that offer services and similar, but are make their resources freely available to the community, or there are like discount codes that sometimes happen that there were some companies that were offering discount codes or free courses online to the members of the community. So definitely we're always trying to get better and be serving the community better, and we're always open for collaborating any way, shape, or form.
Awesome.
That's fantastic.
That's incredible. Well, with that, I think you have a bright future ahead. And right now, we're going to jump into Purrfect Picks. Luckily, you drew the long straw, short straw. I don't know. You get to go first, though, Antonio.
Oh yeah, well, definitely. One thing is, I recently wanted to get more into Linux. Like I definitely play a lot with Linux, with like servers, like spinning up EC2s and similar. But this book, which was suggested to me by Gwyn Peña, is an extremely cheap and amazing way of getting used to most Linux command. Like most likely, if you're looking for a Linux command that is like a Linux native command, it's going to be here and it's going to be explained extremely well. So this is definitely one of the better buys that I've done recently. I am like, it's like 500 pages and I'm like 300 pages deep. So
wow,
it's a wonderful book. Always there when I'm at work and doing things.
That probably comes very much in handy for Kubernetes and stuff like that, with dealing with instances, I would imagine.
It is it's very useful. Definitely, like every single time I have to deal with something like complicated, Linux complicated, or like very complex, like SED or like grep or like all AWK things. Like it's always here. Like I have it right here. It's like a chunky book.
Sorry, I should have zoomed in on you. Cool. Your second pick is?
Oh yeah, my second pick is actually the course I'm going through right now. For some reason, is super high. I got it recently on
that's Udemy's thing.
Yeah, that's
you gotta wait for a sale.
Or go look for incognito window, and it's probably gonna work even better. And but definitely, like it's an extremely well-made course by Brett Fisher, who is a Docker captain, as a part of the Docker captain program, and it's a full like everything encompassing Docker course that with some sprinkling of Swarm and Kubernetes as well. He also has a Kubernetes mastery class that is extremely well made, like same incredible quality, and this has been just a pleasure to go through. That's basically my evenings. Every evening I go through one of the modules. It's like a 20-hour course, and it really changed my idea of like thinking about Docker itself, not only about like, because I used Docker before this course, but this actually changed my understanding of the Docker environment, like very from scratch.
Very cool. Brittney, you are up next.
Okay. My first pick is Challenged.Dev. Challenged.Dev. And my friend mattsmith.dev from the ZTM community created this website to track progress for the 100 days of code and for Advent of Code. And you can go to, there's leaderboards, so it tracks who has like the longest track on there. It has challenges that you can do, which has resources, or the challenges section has I was waiting on you to click over there. Sorry,
I couldn't find it.
And it's got like JavaScript 30. It's got a front end master. So it's got just different challenges that you can go and find to do to complete your 100 days of code journey. And then on the last page, there's resources where you can just find other things for you to help you with your journey. And he also started a new hashtag to go along with 100 days of code called hashtag code365. So he's
up in the game. He wants. I was
trying to do that. Yeah, he made that resolution at the beginning of the year to do an hour of code every day for the whole year. I'm like, that is a big commitment, but I will try to do that with you. And I've held to it so far. I think I've gotten about an hour in every day.
There's too many days that I want to take vacation. I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah. We'll see how that holds when I go on vacation next month.
I should have done that starting in March of 2020. It probably would have worked.
Yeah.
Cool. So your second pick?
Oh, yeah. My other pick is Power Toys by Microsoft. I am a Windows user, and it has been huge for me getting a 4K monitor. I can now split it into 6 screens. It's kind of hard for me to show without me showing my screen, but you can hold Shift and grab a window, and it will allow you to place it in any of the zones you set up. So I have 6 on my 4K monitor and 2 on my 1080p, and I can just drop it into wherever, and it will automatically place it into that zone.
It is really cool. It is really changing, honestly.
Awesome. I may have done my Purrfect pick before, but RxJS, it's all the time at work. So I often have to go back to it because there's so many wonderful utility operators. And I was out for a run the other day, and I was listening to Aaron Frost is doing like a 4-part series on RxJS. And they spent a whole episode on just the creation. And so it had me back out on RX Marbles. And I was like, I have to pick this so I can show other people like how these merged things actually work and come together. So it's a really cool site. And I think the normal RxJS also has a similar setup to this now too. So check it out. It's fun if you do anything RxJS related. We've probably said my other pick a couple times throughout this. They're probably the leader, if not one of the leaders in the cloud learning space. Every time I've talked at any place of work, they always say go to acloudguru.com. They'll have what you need to take your AWS certs, your Azure certs, Google. They have all the different platforms and architectures, and they're just really well put together courses. So CodingCat.dev will have one of these. I'll put it on this episode that we will make this happen. It probably just won't be tomorrow. So at some point in the future, we're going to have a similar thing happening. Nice. And let's see, go back to everybody over here. Antonio, thanks so much. I know you're in New York these days, right?
Yes, I'm between Philadelphia and New York as of right now, and I'm moving out to New York at the end of May. So definitely end of May, and for now just between.
So I guess with that question, we're in Michigan. We're both creeping into our evening here. So thank you so much for joining us later on in the day. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I can't wait to
see where everything takes off for you guys.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Antonio.
Have a nice day.
Later.
Night or something.